Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about two fabulous, and I mean fabulous, 20th century string quartets. Szymanowski, numbers 1 and 2. And this performance is on CD Accord, which is a Polish label, actually. It's not the same thing as Accord, it's CD Accord. And it features the Silesian Quartet. And boy, are these fabulous works. And it's coupled also with the Lutoslawski string quartet, which makes it a good deal because the two Szymanowski quartets are quite short. They're only about, 17, 18 minutes each in these performances. They're rather brief, but that says nothing about how significant they are. It's really quite interesting that sort of Slavic 20th century string quartets tend to come in pairs, unless they're by Dvorak. And even there, they tend to come in pairs because Dvorak's last two are sort of a pair. But you've got the two Smetana quartets and the two Janáček quartets and the two Szymanowski quartets. Of course, Martin who wrote 7. There are exceptions everywhere. But there are some very, very famous pairs. And pairs are convenient because they allow us to hear a composer's development in a short space. I did this already with, for example, violin concertos, whether the pieces are fraternal twins or identical twins. And the Szymanowski quartets are unquestionably fraternal twins because his style underwent a really powerful and impressive evolution from his earlier works, which are highly chromatic, late sort of, Wagnerian excess, Richard Strauss, Scriabin, all of those late romantic, super duper, uber decadent folk. And that is the first quartet. Oh, it's luscious. It really is. It's just incredibly rich and very, very beautiful, but not traditionally tuneful, actually. And then there's the second quartet, which was written a bit later. And in his later style, he began to get more interested, first of all, in folk music. And second of all, combining that with his already extremely rich harmonic language, and the result has a very Bartokian flavor. And actually, the Bartok quartets underwent a very similar stylistic evolution from the densely chromatic early quartets to the folk-influenced, but also extremely modernist and dissonant middle and later quartets. And so we see something similar in Szymanowski, but you can hear it in two quartets lasting less than 20 minutes each, which is enormously convenient. It really is. And these performances are beautiful. The pieces are extremely difficult to play. Szymanowski, especially in his earlier work, liked extremely high part writing, especially for the violins. The Polish, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Let me put it this way. There are two great schools of performance coming out of Polish music. There is, of course, Chopin, the piano school of Polish music, of which Szymanowski certainly participated in his piano works. But also there is that extraordinary, really extraordinary, and to my way of thinking, actually more important, violin school. You have people like Karol Lipinski and Wieniawski and that crew of violin virtuosi who came out of Poland. And Szymanowski was also part of that school. And you hear it in both his works for piano and his works for violin. And his works for violin, especially the two violin concerti and whatnot, they spend a lot of time in the highest reaches of the instrument, in these evocative, yearning, spooky. Listen to his myths for violin and piano, for example. One of the great chamber pieces also of the 20th century. Szymanowski was not terribly prolific. But when he was on, he was amazing, and he was on quite a bit of the time. He wrote a handful of really, really extraordinary masterpieces, and these two quartets belong with those. In the first quartet, you do hear that high, beseeching, yearning quality. The second quartet is a lot more earthy in terms of texture and sound, and they're both beautiful, and they are both really splendidly played and recorded here by the Silesian Quartet, and the engineering from CD Accord is terrific. CD Accord, by the way, is a division of Polygram in terms of distribution, which is now universal. So they may be accessible that way if they are. I just think these are beautiful performances. There are also wonderful other performances on Denon, for example, with the Carmina Quartet. There have been a few. And however you get them, you should definitely get to know these works because they are major, major works. And they don't take a heck of a lot of time, which is really quite a good deal. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.